welcome everyone back to Emkin Gardening. In today's video we are going to be pruning fruit trees, but specifically we're going to be focusing on stone fruit trees. We have two types of stone fruit trees on our property. We have a peach tree and we have two cherry trees. Because we have a smaller yard and we can't have a fruit orchard, which is typically what you need to have production of fruit, you would need multiple varieties of trees to bloom at the same time to pollinate and then have the fruit. The tree that we have is a self-pollinating peach tree, which means it does not need any other peach tree in the area to help it pollinate in order to produce fruit. So we picked this up at Home Depot. Again, they have a variety of fruit trees. You just have to be really careful on what you pick. And we have gotten one peach off of this tree so far. This tree has suffered a lot. It's had a long journey, and we are battling both peach leaf curl and canker on this tree. We did spray in the early spring about a month ago. We did spray for peach leaf curl and canker to help combat that, but it's still a battle that we fight. So we will take you on that journey too as this tree progresses. But we are going to be pruning this tree today because it did really well last year. It got a ton of growth in one season. It was outstanding, the amount of growth that it acquired in one season, which means that the root system must be okay despite the canker, and we'll show you all of that soon. So the same thing with our other fruit trees on the property. We're going to start with the 3 Ds, so dead, diseased, or damaged. We're going to prune out all of those, and we'll show you close-ups of what those look like, and then we'll move on to step 2. Alright, so right here you can see this tree branch is completely dead. The coloration is off. It's gray, very brittle branches. So we're going to cut this one completely off. Again, when you cut fruit trees or any tree, you need to look for the collar and then do about 1/4 of an inch above that collar to make your cut. This will help prevent any other diseases from entering the tree and infecting it. So that was an example of a dead branch, and if you come right over here you can see an example of what a damaged branch would look like. It's just completely broken. They're pretty easy to spot once you're looking for them. We do have some growth otherwise, so I'm just going to come in and cut just the damaged part off. Alright, so here we have an example of what a part of a diseased branch would look like. So again, this peach tree suffers from canker, and right here is a perfect example of what happens when a split can happen in your tree and then it gets infected with some kind of fungus or bacteria, and you can see it's just all juicy inside. So we're gonna take out that whole branch, and which is so sad because it's such a strong branch, but it's okay. The tree will be healthier in the long run. So we're gonna just take off that whole branch that's diseased to stop that spread. All right, and for my own sanity, I'm going to actually clean my Flecos after them being in association with that canker, because I don't want to perpetuate the problem by then taking my my pruners and then start touching other branches when I'm pruning. So I'm going to clean them. It's just a regular alcohol wipe, just to make sure that I don't make it worse when I'm trying to make it better. Okay. Now that they're clean, I'm going to go through and continue that process. So any dead, diseased, or damaged branches, I'm going to completely cut off for step number 1. Okay, so for for step number 2, we're going to be eliminating any of the crossing or competing branches, any of the branches that are growing straight up into the tree we want to take out, any of the weak branches we're going to take out. This is like the process you're going to see a lot of transformation in. The goal is to really open up the inside of the tree, make sure there's lots of airflow. That circulation will help prevent any more of this disease from spreading. Again, we did spray about a month ago to combat this, so hopefully we see a difference this season and for the future seasons. We're spraying in the really early spring and again in the fall once the leaf canopy has dropped. So hopefully we can kind of recuperate these trees back to health, and they'll live long, happy lives. So we're going to do step 2, and you'll see a big difference after that. So an example of a competing branch that we want to eliminate would be this one. As you can see, it's growing straight into the center of the tree. It's going to conflict a lot with the branches that are growing above it. So we are going to take that one straight out. And then some of these weaker ones we don't need. So we're going to be removing all of those as well. And then we're just going to be doing this process all the way around the tree. Here we go. Alright, so we did take off a little bit. We're trying to stick to the only a third of the plant each season. So the very last step, step number 3, is to, it's called heading off. So we're going to do this to maintain the size, restrict the size from getting this tree to grow to its fullest potential, just because it shades the garden and just for space reasons. So we're going to head it off at the top for shaping. And the most important thing to do when we're heading off is to look at the different buds and make sure that wherever we do cut it, it's with a bud that's pointing in the direction that we would want that next branch to grow. So for example, if we were to cut right here on this tree, that next one would start growing that way, which we would not want. But if we cut it right above this one right here, that next tree branch would continue growing up in the direction that we would want. So we are going to head it off on top, and we're not going to take off too much, but we will need the gorilla ladder for this job. Cherry trees. It is also another self-pollinating cherry. We're going to do the exact same process. We'll speed it up for you guys so you can see a good before and after, but we're going to tackle the 3 Ds: damaged, dead, and diseased. And then we will cut off any of the conflicting branches that are growing into the tree to try to bring as much airflow into the tree as possible, and then we'll head it off. On our property. This is a mature cherry tree. It was here when we bought the house. The other 2 trees we actually brought, they were in containers and we brought them back from our old property. So this is how big, this is a mature cherry tree at its adult size. So obviously we had to head off our other cherry tree because there's absolutely no way that a tree this size would fit in our backyard. So that's why we head off the ones in the back. But this one, you know, there's the space so you can let it grow to its full potential. What we are going to be doing today is our best to tackle the 3Ds, and then to get all of the competing branches taken care of. Another thing that we're going to be doing is it's really difficult to mow our lawn with these really low hanging branches, so we will be kind of cleaning up this bottom area of the tree to allow a little bit more space for us to manage the yard. This tree also suffers from canker, just like the other 2 stone fruit trees that we have. This one was also sprayed about a month ago in the really early spring, so hopefully that helps combat it. If you come in close, you can really see the areas affected. With that said, this tree always gives us a lot of cherries every single year, so it is still producing. We're just trying to manage the canker and the leaf curl. Alright, so we're going to be doing all of that, and let's go! Going to stop there for this season. We lifted the canopy up and we got as much of the dead and crossing competing branches as we could kind of in the lower to middle section. There's still so much that you can do and like fuss with trees like this. We were trying to stay really cognizant about only taking off a third. We did take off some really big branches this time, so we're gonna stop. We're gonna reassess, see how it does for this season, and hopefully it rejuvenates it, and then we can do a little bit more next year. The last step we're going to do is fertilize all of our fruit trees that we did today, and just a reminder again to clean your pruners after you are working with trees that have peach leaf curl or canker. Alright, so let's fertilize! Thank you guys so much for watching this episode on Emkin Gardening. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you would like to continue on this journey with us, follow along so you can grow.